in, coming from elementary school and you're always hands-on with your kid, and then in middle school you're hoping to kind of get your hands off a little bit. But I find coming from high school, when do you really step out and let your kid take, if there's a problem or, there's a situation at school, what would be the answer, I guess, you'd give the parents here or recommendation or advice with that?
Wow, okay. There's great resources available at the high school for your students when they are in a quandary, whether it be an academic, an issue with their academics, or maybe a situation with a friend. The counseling department, make sure your student knows his or her counselor, and they will get to know them throughout their experience transitioning from middle school, and then again when they start scheduling, even if there's nothing else in between. But make sure that they know who the counselor is, where the counseling department is, how to set up an appointment, to feel comfortable if they need that kind of resource. And then you as a parent also, make sure that you have a relationship with the counselor so that if there's something that you need to be involved in, it's not a stranger to you, and you know who's on the other end of that phone call when you make it, if you have to. But it's a fine line. I mean, some kids are only 13 when they start high school, and some kids are 18 or possibly 19 by the time they finish. So there's a lot of growing up that goes on in those few years. And I guess we all as parents struggle with at what point do we let our children make some of their own mistakes and their own decisions. The good news is you're in a safe environment there. You've got people who are absolutely committed to making sure your child is successful, and they're not going to let something bad happen to your child as long as everybody's working together and is on the same page. So take full advantage of the counseling department. Don't be afraid to get to know Mr. Shelton. He didn't mention the part about how you can text him, but I won't. And don't be a stranger in the building. What I found this kind of interesting. I personally had a decent high school experience for myself, but not everybody did. And as adults, sometimes the idea going into a high school, even though you might be 40 years old, is a little panicky because of your own memories of high school. So try not to let that transfer to your child. If you had a bad experience, you didn't like high school, or you had teachers you didn't care for, try to keep that hidden so that your child doesn't transfer some of that anxiety. And then just get past that. Come on in, feel comfortable in the building, and take advantage of the resources that are there. Because even though we have 1,850 kids, and people say, oh my gosh, it's such a huge building, kids are getting lost. They're not getting lost. The kids who get lost are the kids who want to get lost, and then they probably are going to be found before they're all done. So don't use that as an excuse, and don't let your child use that as an excuse either.
Can I just add?